Hello and welcome to the ROPESCAST, the independent voice of the Middle East. I'm Ksenia Svetlova. ROPE stands for the Regional Organization for Peace, Economics and Security. We are a young organization that works to lay the groundwork for a post-conflict Middle East by connecting forward-thinking Israelis, Palestinians, and young Middle Eastern leaders from all across the region. We share a holistic vision for our region, where everyone has more to win from conflict resolution and integration than to lose. And our very special guest today is an extraordinary personality, a friend of Ropes, a friend of mine. His name is Daniel Dana, originally named Jamshidi, who was born in Tehran, Iran, into a Shiite Muslim family with concealed Jewish roots. A former champion gymnast who represented Iran in 72 Student Olympics in Moscow, Dana worked as an international lawyer, legal advisor for companies in Iran, Israel, and France. He founded an anti-Khomeini underground group in 1980, led to 1981 capture of the Iranian gunboat, was sentenced to death 3 times in absentia, and sought asylum in Australia before settling in Israel in 1990s. Daniel Dana has chaired the Peace and Love International movement promoting Iran-Israel ties, authored over a dozen books on law, religion, and else. Daniel advocates for monotheistic brotherhood and the Iranian regime downfall while living in Israel. Daniel, it's such a pleasure to host you in the ROPESCAST.
Thank you so much, dear Salia, and thank you so much you invite me for this interview. This is my great honor to share my experience with you, with the audience, and I wish that friendship between Iran and Israel, God's willing, after 47 years stopping, should start again, and we can make an intercultural bridge between Iran and Israel to changing the political and social atmosphere in the Middle East, peace and harmony, living really in this area which needs this sort of cooperation and changing to a better life because people are really deserving for such a peaceful relationship and tranquility. I wish the best, and I'm very happy to be with you, and this is my great honor to answer your question and also the audience.
Dani, if it's okay that I will call you this, what are your feelings right now, as an Iranian who lives in exile now for many years, and you were sentenced to death in absentia, and you are connecting in opposition, and now finally something as grand as what is happening right now takes place. There is an actual war against Iran led by United States and Israel, and senior figures from the regime are being eliminated. Bombs are taking off at military bases, at the besieged posts, and so on. Inside of you, as a human being, not as a lawyer, a human rights activist, what do you feel about this happening in Iran right now?
In fact, I have to start from this point that I started fighting against this terrorist regime before established. It means the time that Ayatollah Khomeini, 3.5 months before starting revolution, he came to Paris and he established in the area of Neufchâteau. I have started to fight against him personally and his movement 3 months before establishing the Islamic Republic and returned to Tehran. And I mentioned to my people in that period of time, I was a student of PhD with Paris University, Panthéon, Paris 2. And I tried to introduce this evil ideology to my people, to Iranian, that this will be a great catastrophe for both Iranian and the world. After 47 years, experience show us I did not wrong, but I was shouting and fighting and acting and operating correctly and truly. I believe that amongst around about 197 countries, members of United Nations, Israel is the best friend of Iranian nation because of 2,700 years common history between twin sister nations of Iran and Israel. And praise God that the United States president started to help Iranian in the war which has been started during last 11 days. And bit by bit, as much as we go farther, the regime, the ugly terrorist regime in Iran, day by day is going down. That people, 90 million Iranian in prison of this regime, can rise up a day and start to a normal life. For the first time in a Muslim country, democracy be implemented in Iran. This is the minimum that I can share with you in the beginning of this interview.
Well, we all wish that the Iranian regime will, disappear, will collapse completely, and that the criminals will pay for their crimes, and the democracy will be established in Iran. But are you not afraid that, this road can take a different direction? Because, there are many scenarios in which civil war can break out, or perhaps some other regime can be created in Iran, which is not a democracy, for example. How do you feel about that?
Dear Selena, first of all, let me to correct this word that this is not Iranian regime. This is 100% anti-Iranian regime. This is a Shia Islamic regime, which is terrorist regime, which is completely irrelevant to Persian culture. Persian culture normally based on peace, harmony, compassion, mercy, goodness, and reasonable political correct relationship with all neighbors, especially with Israel, which has been started this good relationship from 5th of March 1950. 1950, we have started to have a good relationship with the state of Israel, and we had wonderful, how can I say, very fruitful, positive, creative relationship between twin sister nations of Iran and Israel. It has been started with Islamic Republic. Pity, majority of Iranians, they are trying their best to continue this fruitful, peaceful, creative, nice, positive relationship between Iran, Israel, and also Iran and the other Arab Muslim countries in the world, and also Iran and the Western country, and all of them. We had wonderful relationship with all the world, in all the countries in the world, even Soviet Union, even China, all communists and socialists and the other country, equally with the other kind of, free countries in the world. We have to continue the same positive, creative, good relationship, beneficial relationship with all countries in the world.
Yeah, well, I wish that as well, Danny. But what I wanted to ask you is that don't you think that, right now when there is still, the regime still exists and it will continue fighting, obviously, for its life. What are the chances that, even if this regime will fall, you will eventually have a democracy in Iran and not some other scenario? Because look at what happened after Arab Spring. Look at countries that were consumed by the civil war as a result of the downfall of the regime. Look at Syria and so on. I'm not comparing, Iran is different and Syria is a different case, but nevertheless, don't you think that there is circumstances that can lead eventually Iran not to this safe and good space of democracy, but to some other direction?
As Iranian lawyer and Iranian activist, political activist, military activist against terrorism, I promise you that Iran, not comparing with the other countries who start terrorism whatsoever, Iran will be the first Muslim country embrace the concept of democracy, to make a good relationship with all Muslim and non-Muslim countries in the world, to have a fruitful relationship with all of them. And whatever has happened in Iran during the last 47 years, it is completely anti-Iranian concept. It is completely strange for Iranian nation. And whatever is happening during the last 11 days, despite that no more than 10%, no more than 10% of terrorist power of Islamic regime remains still in Iran, but it will collapse soon. And God's willing, next couple of weeks, we are very convinced that the political social situation in Iran completely will change, and we will start to accept the concept of democracy for the first time for a Muslim country, embrace all positive principle of a new world and start a good life in Iran and good relationship with all neighbors.
I will just, mention, Danny, that Iran was not a democracy before the Islamic Revolution. It was a monarchy, and it was not a democratic country. So, I mean, again, we do hope that, democracy will be established in Iran right now after this war. But it will be really a first also for Iran and for the neighborhood in general.
Thank you so much for 47 years critical experience. 40 years suffering and pity, torturing the nation, that they can understand what is the value of democracy. And over 10 million Iranian in exile, they understand what is the value of democracy and why Iran needs to have a democracy that thinking democratically, behaving democratically, and implemented democratic ideology during all the concepts, all the legal effort, all the political effort in the country will change. As I told you, and I repeat it, I'm proud to repeat it again, Iran will be the first Muslim country who will implement a total Western democracy in Iran. This is whatever I can explain why for hours and hours and hours. This is whatever I have already explained in different theses of different universities in France, in Australia, in Germany, in Italy, and also over 30 years in Israel. I have written many books, articles, research to express why Iranians are pregnant to accept the concept of democracy after 14 centuries being far from democracy, and especially 47 years being far from this concept. That the suffering of this 47 years gives the opportunity for high majority of Iranians understand real value of concept of democracy.
I see. Well, we definitely join your hopes and prayers, and we do hope to see a democratic Iran sometime soon. But first, Dani, I would want to ask you to lead our viewers and listeners and myself also to Iran of today in order to understand how the Iranian regime will collapse. How do you think it will happen? Because, we have right now the war, the military blows, and so on. And Trump and also Netanyahu, they express hope that the Iranian people will go out to the streets and will topple the regime. Can you explain us by, step by step, how exactly is it about to happen?
Honestly, over 85% of the power of this regime already collapsed, finished, doesn't exist. This 15% maximum, 15% of power of regime, which exists even today, during the next couple of weeks completely finished, and the new system, new political system, new social system, new atmosphere in Iran will implement it to change completely the system and put out the ugly terrorist system away and start with a provisional government of majority of Iranian and the leadership of His Majesty, the future Shah of Iran, will completely collapse old system, and the new system, after around about 3 to 6 months provisional period, will start to writing a new constitution, will start a new legal system, correct system, parallel with burning desire of high majority of Iranians, especially young generation, over 55 million population of young generation, to start the basic foundation of democracy in Iran.
Before writing a constitution and all of these wonderful things, so you are mentioning that about 15% of the regime is still operational, and we see that, that they still have the power. I mean, the ministries still work, the spokesperson still appear, the armed people, the Basij are still on the streets, and so on. So who will get up?
Israeli Defensive Army, IDF, and U.S. Army in Iran, they are fighting, not practically Iran, but via air forces and the other forces. They are helping Iranian people. They are helping people, Iranian who are thirsty and hungry for the concept of democracy. They are helping Iranian nation to stop this 15%, maximum 15% of power of evil terrorism which remains still in Iran, to give them up and start new principality in Iran via provisional government within 3 to 6 months, establishing the basic foundation of democracy constitutionally for future of this nation. I am very optimistic for that. This is not only me. High majority of Iranians are thinking for future democracy implementing in Iran.
Yes, but so you think that it's only US and Israel that will finish off this regime, and not the Iranian people, not the protesters.
Iran, US armed forces and IDF forces, they are helping Iranian nation. They give the opportunity to Iranian nation totally globally rise up and kick out the rest of this 15% of barbarism, of terrorism out, and the rest to be legalizing in future system. These majority of Iranian, they will clean their own country by support. Thank you so much, IDF. Thank you so much, US forces, which help us, which support us, and they give us the opportunity. We can stop terrorism in Iran and establish the basic democracy in our beloved country.
Yes, Danny. So another question that I wanted to ask you in this regard, in case that, it will be a prolonged action, protesters will begin, and, I'm not aware of, armed Iranian opposition, at least not in this part of the country. I think that Iranians in exile will come and join their brothers to fight for the freedom of Iran, just like Ukrainians are joining from outside, are joining Ukrainian army right now.
I am very optimistic that over 90% of Iranian in exile, diaspora, they will return home to establish their own country, their own nation. This is the nature of Iranian. For how long? 47 years is not enough to remain in diaspora? And this is my personal experience, dear Sharia. Why? Over 47 years I have been fighting against terrorist regime. This is my experience. During this long period of time, I had communication with different atmosphere. University atmosphere, journalism, political activists, military activists. I have been in contact during this over 47 years with majority of Iranian. I can feel it. I can read the mind, and I can understand exactly what is future of this nation. For the first, as I told you, and I repeat it, for the first time in 14 centuries of Iranian Islamization, for the first time this country is going to embrace the concept of democracy and living in peace and harmony with all neighbors, and also Western population and Western industry and Western economy and Western, to have a deal for all the necessities of the day with Western civilization.
So another question about the diaspora. So we see right now different camps of those who support Pahlavi as the future Shah of Iran. And we see also other groups that say that, well, it's up to the Iranian people to decide who will lead Iran after the downfall of the current regime and so on. What do you think? What is the place of the Prince Reza Pahlavi Iran and the governing system of Iran?
Dear Ksania, thank you so much for this wonderful question. You're 100% right. This is the major principle of democracy. I have no any statistic to tell you how and what is the percentage of those people who are supporting King. For me, the very basic assessment, it means that over 80% of total population, either in diaspora or in Iran, over 80% of Iranian population are supporting him. Imagine the 20% of the rest who are the gauchists or the partisan of left, of the other ideology of socialism, of whatsoever. 100% we have respectful relationship with them. We have full respect to them. Democracy is the minimum of concept that will give right to them and majority. And don't forget that majority give right, 100% equal right for opposition, means that 20% approximate. I have no any statistic, but more or less I can divide in 80 to 20% roundabout. They have 100% equal right of whatever the majority they have. And one other concept which could be useful for future generation, and I use the opportunity with your staff, I can claim, the constitutional of future Iran will stop the condemnation of death execution. We will stop for the first time in the history of our nation, no death execution, even for our enemy. Therefore, the principle of killing and murdering for idea, for the first time, we want to stop it and give equal right for all, any citizen of Iran, either in the country or out of the country, no death execution, and changing the legal system based on mental system, based on behavior of the society, in practical of the society. This change is going to change. This sort of mentality is going to change basic culture of future generation. Live in peace and harmony, forgive the enemy, try to help the enemy to understand if there is something wrong, to replace something good for himself and for all nations.
Danny, I want to jump, from the discussion to discussion about Israel and Iran, or perhaps even Jews and Iran, because, I've met many Iranians outside of Iran, of course, and all of them, we always say, well, no one, had any problem of dealing, with Israelis. Of course, they were cautious because they were afraid of, the regime and of punishment at home, but otherwise, they were always very friendly and so on. Nevertheless, you do see that, during these 47 years, thousands and thousands of Iranians marched to the shouts of death to Israel, and also, expressing anti-Semitic expressions and so on. And I would like to ask you, because, you were born in the Shiite family, in the Shiite surrounding. Is there anything in Shia Islam that can be castigated as, well, anti-Semitic kind of element? Is it something that, that the regime completely invented, this hatred to Israel and the Jews? Or is there also a religious component that exists in, the general religious beliefs of the people who live in Iran?
Dear Salina, Shi'i ideology, Shi'i Islam in Iran already dead, finished. High majority of Iranian, intellectual Iranian, faithful Iranian, nationalist Iranian, democrat Iranian, they are going to put in archive this idea. Shi'i ideology of Islam in Iran has already dead, finished. We have to service of funeral in Iran for this principle, which is completely anti-Iranian during last 14 centuries, but we absorb it, we digest it, we remain silent because we understand that really God is over there. But in fact, no, that's not correct. We want to have good relationship with all Muslim neighbors. We want to have good relationship all Western. We wish to have good relationship with Jews, Christian, and Baha'is and the other religions. Religious is 100% free for any human being, or simultaneously for any Iranian citizen. 100% freedom on religion. Islam already finished. Less than, honestly, in future government, you will see, I will be witnessing for that, less than 10% of Iranian total population will remain Shiism, because Shi'i ideology, which has been created with our forefathers 14 centuries ago, with their children, wants to stop. Why? We love Jews, we love Christian, we love Baha'i, we love Zoroastrian, we love any idea, but not Shi'i ideology, because we disturb us for 14th century. We wish to stop it. Listen, during 7 October of 2 years ago, 23, how many times you have seen in all the world Iranian flag, Israeli flag, shoulder by shoulder together? Why? Can you see the same principle, the same idea, the same demonstration, the same manifestation in the other Muslim country, 54 members of United Nations? Never, ever. Only Iranian. They have extraordinary friendship relationship with Israel, which they have already done over 2,700 years, but to stop it for 14 centuries, start again 5th March 1950 with Shah. It has been continued and it has been fruitful for both nations, Iran and Israel, till Islamic Revolution. We want to stop this revolution to continue that fruitful, nice, productive relationship between twin sister nations of Iran and Israel, and also good relationship with the world, also practicing democracy in our country.
Also, wanted to ask you, because you lived in Iran in these years that preceded to the rise of the extremist powers and the Islamic Revolution. It seems that Khomeini was extremely popular these days in Iranian public, only among very religious people who were Marxist and perhaps left-leaning and so on, embraced him. And you also see right now, also in the West, fascination with the Iranian regime and support of this regime. How you can explain it? Also, the first part about Iran, what happened in Iran, and the second part is what's happening right now in the West and the embrace of the, I would say, cannibal regime that just eats its own children.
Dear Ksenia, Satan is more famous than Khomeini. Some people do mistake and follow Satan. Our people, they made big mistake of their history and follow the evil ideology of Khomeini. They understand that they made mistake. This is the reason, one of the major reasons why they prefer democratic mentality, democratic action, and to put democratic political system in their own country. They made mistake. They paid the price of their mistake. They understand that they have to think in some other concept, some other atmosphere, and they understood that they have to pay the price of their mistake, and they have already done big damage during 47. We have paid for this stupid ideology, for this big mistake, and we wish to implement another new atmosphere for our coming generation and give them the opportunity that they can live in peace, harmony, democracy, and good behavior, good mind, good action, and good work.
So I want to ask you, like from your childhood, from your youth, how do you remember the street specifically with an eye of on the women and the girls? How did they look like? How did they dress, in your surrounding, in countryside, so what was Iran? How did it really look like? How did women live in Iran prior to 1979?
Before that was 100% like Paris, like London, like Frankfurt, like New York, like Washington, like Jerusalem, like Tel Aviv. Our life system before Islamic Revolution for 57 years of Pahlavi dynasty was 100% comparable with Western citizen, Western mentality, Western.
So,
we wish to continue the same system.
Yeah, but there were no women who were wearing chador before 79?
Minority, Nekuda, point, minority of the society, well, yes, taking chador, and they were Muslim, and they were implementing Islamic concept, accept, but 100% freedom. They were free to do, and the rest, the other people, they were free to do not implement it. 100% sitting like you. Yeah, the majority, over 90% of Iranian total population before Islamic Revolution, like you and me. What happened after Islamic Revolution? We lost this opportunity to live in peace and harmony, to live in liberation and liberty and democratic. We lost it. We want to change the system because 90% of total population of Iran, they want to return to the system which was before the Islamic Revolution.
So, and my last question to you, Dani, I want to ask you about how the possible change of regime in Iran can change the Middle East, because there are a lot of Iranian proxies. Iran influences in so many different ways, through bribes, through support of armed militias, and so on. And if you can just imagine for a second that this regime is gone, it doesn't longer like, in your opinion.
Thank you so much for this last question, which is the best, in fact. What is the influential of my beloved country, Iran, for proxies? It was not Iranian. They were Shi'i Muslims. They stop. High majority of Iranian understand this is not Iranian. This is anti-Iranian, first of all. Secondly, all proxies understand that the source, the material source, the financial source, the power source, stop it. Therefore, no proxy, doesn't exist in a proxy. Future relationship of Iran with this country, with Syria, with Iraq, with Lebanon, with the other Muslim countries, with Saudi Arabia, based on peace, harmony, compassion, and goodness of nice relation, nice bilateral relationship with all of them, for your respect. But, capital B, we are not Muslim, but we respect to Islam. Whoever is Muslim, for you, but not for me. This is very exceptional concept for new generation of Iranian. This new generation means minimum 55 million of new generation, which are average less than 30. Those are our faithful soldiers for making good future, democratic future, liberal democracy, and good relationship with both Western culture, Eastern culture, and Muslim culture, and Muslim nations.
Dear Danny, thank you so much for being with us today. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart, for this very sincere and interesting conversation. And what can I tell you? Many people around the world do hope that in the end of this war, indeed, today or tomorrow or in a few months, a new regime that is stable and moderate and democratic will emerge in Iran. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much, dear Ksenia, for this wonderful interview. And God's willing, close future, I will call you from Tehran, and we will continue. Second interview will be from Tehran to Jerusalem. Thank you so much.
I don't only want you to call me from Tehran. I want you to take me with you to Tehran. It's been my dream for a long while to visit this country.
My great honor. 90 million Iranians are waiting. You and all Israeli and all Western people, everybody in the world, welcome to Iran. And well, we will be extremely happy to have you and all Israel and all Western culture and Western people. Thank you so much again.
You've been listening to the ROPESCAST, the independent voice of the Middle East. Our guest today was Daniel Dana, an Iranian activist who is based in Israel, a lawyer, a human rights activist, a writer of many, many books. I advise you strongly to go online and to look for his wonderful books on many subjects. And we hope that you enjoyed very much this episode. Please subscribe to our podcast and follow us in the social networks. I'm Ksenia Svetlova. Shalom and salam.